right, we are live. It is Monday, January 29th, 2018. It's me, Will. I'm back. Took a couple weeks off, but I'm here, joined here by Ariel, who you will hear from in a few minutes. Today we have a great show. We have Seth Jordan. He's a Bunker Labs board member, but also the founder of Dog Tag Brewing. We're going to get into some of what goes on with that. He's also a Marine. We're going to find out a little bit about maybe some cool developments going on with an awesome, what do you call it, a thermos. A cool thermos startup. We'll get into that. First, I want to ask you, Ariel, a question. If somebody were to give you like $500 right now, what would you spend $500 on right now? Anything
Right now?
Yeah.
Probably a textbook.
One single textbook. All right, so she needs a textbook. So what if I told you that you could buy, for $500, you could buy a flamethrower?
For $500?
$500. Elon Musk is selling flamethrowers for $500. Becca's off camera, you can't see her. You want a flamethrower for $500? Kirby? It's a hard no from both of them. They're more responsible than me. Anyways, stay tuned. Today we have Seth Jordan joining us on the breakdown. Okay, we're back. I'm eating ice. Great. My fault. So, we're joined here today by a Marine, Seth Jordan. Sorry, Seth. Seth, you were in the Marine Corps for 10 years, right? Is that accurate?
That's right.
Cool. And then you got out, and what was your transition like? What Dog Tag Brewing? How did you get into that?
Yeah, kind of fell into that by accident in a good way, I think. I always had a knowing from working in the Marine Corps, and then I also kind of worked before I joined the Marine Corps that I really wanted to work for myself. And when I got off active duty, I moved to Bozeman, Montana, and kind of fell into philanthropy by accident, and was really inspired by the work that I was doing, and created Dog Tag as kind of a project on the side to see if we could have something viable that would create revenue and awareness for the projects that the families of the fallen were working on. And it just kind of took off, and next thing you know, it was the main effort. So
That's so cool.
That was Gold Star Families, right?
Correct. Yeah, just to clarify, Dog Tag was this kind of a vision of to create a product that would only drive awareness, and then it would donate all of its profits to the families of the fallen for the projects that they were working on. So think of us kind of like a nonprofit accelerator for families of the fallen. That was their specific area of focus.
Wow. So you're driven by like a passion to help individuals, and also tied it back into something that you were passionate about as well. And so how do you go start like a beer? How do you go start a brewing company from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of homework, right? I was trying to do a little bit of it before my last deployment to Afghanistan, while I was there, and then kind of researching the industry. And I just knew that it was a very crowded space, but I think if we could create something completely different that would live on a shelf for different reasons, that the consumer would look at it differently, and that was it. So it was really, I spent a lot of time focusing on the business model, given that no one had really done it the way that we were doing it, and also having to take that leap of faith, not knowing if they would actually work or not.
Amazing. Ariel, if you could start a company today, what would you start? Not as scripted, putting her on the spot.
So if I could start a company today, I would start probably a civic engagement, community type of organization centered around young girls, transition age youth. So maybe 16 through 24 who need help trying to find the volume on their voice. So what does healthy self-esteem and assertive but respectful boundaries look like? So how to be a badass with class.
How to be a badass. So I think what's really important is how specific and like niche that was. So how, Seth, in your opinion, how important was it for you to take a route that was so specific? Another follow-up to that. How do you start a brewing company in Bozeman, Montana that gains national recognition, that creates this national brand? and then goes off and partners with PBR. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, that was part of it. I think, well, one of the biggest lessons I learned in the transition, and this is a good little hack, if you will, or for all your listeners, is that the role of advisors. What I did, what any other good young Marine officer would do, was realize you're only as good as the people surrounding you. And what I did was I went out and stalked, for better lack of a word, some of the best subject matter experts in the beer space, explained my vision for them, and asked them to join my advisory board. And they all said yes. And from there, that's where we really grew the connections.
Very cool. So Ariel, you're brand new to this team. Ariel joined us about, a week ago, right?
A week ago.
And just got over the flu. I had the flu a couple weeks ago too, so I know how that is. You're still active.
I'm still in the service, that's true.
Right.
So I'm in the Army. I'm a psychological operations specialist, airborne. I have to say that. And so this would be officially my third day here. I spent 4 days getting over the flu. So I came from the Veteran Business Outreach Center for Region 5, which was Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. Published author of 2 books, Original Compositions by a Girl Named Nikki and Deeper Meanings by a Girl Named Nikki. It's really just about activating your voice and finding your story and telling it with a sense of purpose, so that if there's things that happen, you can edit those people out as best fit for you. And I'm working on my PhD at Adler University, but I'm really excited to be here and a part of the team, and can't wait to see what that looks like when I get back, because I'm leaving for 29 days. Can't keep me for some reason.
She can't. So yeah, you're out of here like next week, right?
No, I leave Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, great. So happy to have you here, Ariel. Really making a good name for yourself here. So Seth, see, Dog Tag Brewing. You just started something, Ready Room, right? Ready Room Capital. What exactly is that?
Yeah, Ready Room Capital is kind of a human capital consulting firm where we work and advise young entrepreneurs at the earliest stages and kind of shuttle or escort them through that process of the unknown. One of the things I learned in my journey is an incredible amount of man hours, doing like we just talked about, the homework, the research, how do I get a logo, how do I file for this, how do I get a trademark, all that stuff builds an active. I think if someone was there for me to come on as an operating partner and kind of guide me through that, and that's one of the things that we want to offer. So, it starts with just giving advice. I love meeting with young entrepreneurs, especially veterans. I give all my time. Every week I get calls from veteran entrepreneurs, and I'll give it all the time. But when it's time to progress to that next level, that's where we like to get involved.
That's awesome. So I mentioned it in the intro. Tell me about Flask Cap.
Yeah. So, I was blessed to meet a young entrepreneur, great inventor, this guy named Drew, and he invented this thing called Flask Cap. We're kind of, I don't know if you can see this, but it's just like your traditional tumbler. Everyone's got these things that keeps drinks cold, keep drinks hot. But what he invented was the first step of flask for your tumbler. And it fits over 40 different brands, holds 5 ounces of your favorite adult beverage, and then meters it properly from top to bottom. And what he wanted help is to take this to the next level, how to market it, take it to, take it to market and the strategy behind it. So it's just, for me, it's just like, I love getting my hands on something that you're actually physically making something, and it actually provides a solution to a problem. So.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. We have next week, I'll plug it early, we have Amy Lukin from Tito's Vodka coming on. I'm sure she's going to love. I'll make sure she sees this clip.
We need to be BFF.
So you're spending time in Bozeman, like nurturing, not necessarily incubating these people, but giving them these very basic tools that you might not always think about, but also stuff that you don't really have to waste. I wouldn't say waste your time, but you don't have to spend as much time on. So like logo generation, name creation, the things that they can be time consuming if you allow them to be, but you're making it easier for them basically. What are some common things or some common areas where people get caught or tripped up on in the early stages that you see?
Yeah, listen, think of us as a value add partner, right? We come on as operating partners in exchange for equity in the company because we want to see it succeed just as much as the owner. I think the hardest thing that entrepreneurs struggle with is giving away or quote unquote giving a pie or piece of the pie away to other folks and then understanding what's important and what's not. I think through experience that's where we want to be. But to answer your question, I think too many entrepreneurs spend so much time in a day focusing on almost every facet of the business that they really forget to focus on what is it that they set out to do and really double down on their strengths. I think too many times veterans especially, don't do a good job of work-life balance. It's one of those things where there's only so many hours in the day and their head's down on their business and they don't want to ask anyone for any advice or any help. And what does it do? Their families suffer as a result.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. Cool, let's see. Every week, so I'll just jump to this. Every week we go around the table or across the country, it looks like, we're Skyping, and we name like a hack or a resource or a tool that can improve your life as an early stage entrepreneur, something that's like free or readily available. What's something that you use on a day-to-day basis that allows you to be, to live your life conveniently and efficiently?
Yeah, I think specifically to hacks, I think that there's a good book, I should say. It's called Rocket Fuel. It's one of the best books that I've read. Really, I don't know if it's been mentioned on your show or within Bunker Labs, the community. What that book does is it's a really short and easy read, and it talks about the difference between visionaries and integrators. And I think for companies, especially if you're going to be the visionary, the entrepreneur, you need that person, he or she, to kind of be the COO, if you will, to make stuff happen. And in the book, there are some great worksheets and some lessons learned and some detailed points how to run your business, both on a weekly, monthly, quarterly level, and kind of like who wins the tiebreaker between the visionary CEO and the COOs. And to me, I guess what it's saying is, in sum, it really resonated with me because I've had those struggles myself where you're seeing where something goes, but you're trying to drag the team along. And sometimes that can be hard, and you get construed as kind of like off the charts and all over the place. But at the end of the day, you need to work well with the folks within your team. So the book does really well, and I highly recommend it.
What's that book called?
It's called Rocket Fuel.
Rocket Fuel.
I'm actually looking at my bookshelf right now. I don't know if I can see the author's name. I'll get it to you in a flying thing.
Yeah, no
but it's
problem.
called Rocket Fuel.
No problem. We'll put it in the comments. Awesome. Ariel, what is a hack that you, or what's something that you use, a resource that you enjoy?
It's not necessarily entrepreneurship specific, but for creativity, it's pw.org. They have a writing prompt that they do every week, and so it just keeps the juices flowing, give different ways to think about things.
pw.org.
pw.org for poets and writers.
Poets and writers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put that in. Yeah. Interesting. Everybody at the bunker knows that I'm a very big poet. I write poems.
Do you?
No. But anyway, moving on. Seth, you might know this one. Mine is this book. It's called Venture Deals. I don't know if you've ever read it. Brad Feld. I don't want to say it's like the Bible for understanding how to raise outside capital. And we also say all the time, maybe you shouldn't always take outside capital. But if you are interested in learning about how to go raise venture capital or angel dollars or private equity, Venture Deals is a book I highly recommend. You can listen to it on tape. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it's great. I was just going to say it's in the bookshelf as well. So that was number 2, but you mentioned it.
All right.
I think you made a point there, but the biggest thing that I think that veterans that are raising money or think that they need to raise money, I think they're very unfamiliar with that space, and that book's a good read for them.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Do you have any other questions for Seth?
Are you still involved with Patriot Boot Camp?
I do. I help out. I mentor some of the folks going through that program as well. Again, I believe in the power of philanthropy. It was mentioned earlier. I think it's one of the biggest things that I would advocate to anybody that asks for my advice as a transitioning veteran. So anytime I can give back, I will, and I recommend it for others.
It's amazing. Seth, thank you so much for all your support of Bunker Labs, and thank you for joining us today. I'm looking forward to talking to you more Next week on the breakdown, we have Amy Lukin. She's the chief joyologist at Tito's Vodka. Tito's is a great sponsor of ours. Amy is a fantastic person. Can't wait to have her on. So join us next week, Monday, February 5th, I think. We're in February, right, next week? It's crazy. All right, so yeah, join us next week on Monday for Amy Lukin. Thank you.